We are live.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to the April Jefferson County Council meeting. Before we get started with anything new, I want to know if you want to go through the approval of the meeting, the minutes from the March 10th meeting. Have members of the council, have you guys had an opportunity to read through those? It looked good to me. It looked right to me.
I make a motion to accept them as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Okay. So, and I just want the public to know that there's not gonna be, contrary to some misinformation proliferated out on the on Facebook, there's not gonna be a vote for any abatements tonight. So please be cautious when you hear things on Facebook. There's just gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of misinformation being put out there. So be cautious. Please consider the source on some of this stuff. Next is the North, I'm sorry, KDH EMS. Is somebody, a representative from KD? The podium's yours.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see you all again. I'm Rachel Sharp with the Norton King's Daughters Health Foundation office, and with me is
Shane Williams, Director of EMS.
yeah, so we got to come see you all almost a year ago, and we've had some great conversations, great meetings. We had a great tour of the current EMS building, if you were able to attend that, and have your questions answered. And we would just like to make sure you guys have some updated information. So you want to talk about where we are with the project. We are looking towards a June groundbreaking. Bethany Legacy is going to be partnering with us on that ceremony, getting the community involved, the King's Daughters Health community involved. So we wanted to make sure this was back on your radar as we move forward with our EMS project, and we want to partner with county councils and so on. So if you have any questions, Shane and I are here.
And you guys have any questions?
I don't think so. I don't have any.
My question, I know, Dave, I know Bobby's here, I know, obviously, we had the pleasure of the original information a year ago. Time has passed, and obviously they've had a need to move forward and finalize fundraising, and obviously wanting, county's municipality to make a pledge and show support of this project. And they came again following the tour with the commissioners and council down at the EMS Hub. They came again last month, I believe, to a commissioners meeting. But I had not heard, was there discussion per se from the commissioners as far as a recommendation from the commissioners coming to us? Will we hear that soon?
Sure.
Dave is in the other room, but he spoke to me at a one-off. And I think that you, after maybe your next meeting, you're gonna come back to council and make a recommendation on your proposal to support the project in some fashion.
We as a body have not seen that yet, so I was hopeful. I didn't know if that was gonna come tonight or that's gonna be at the next meeting.
Thanks for the cheat sheet.
Yes,
This is very.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
the highlights real quick for you all, where we are with the project.
So that's not gonna be yet.
Any more comments or questions for these guys? Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right.
The next order of business will be the ERA at the Jefferson Proving Ground. I want to make a couple comments about this. I'm going to read through this resolution. It's not mandated that this is read publicly, but I think it's a good idea that we read this. This resolution 2026-010. If you go to the Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1-1, which is riveting and a cure for insomnia. What it basically says is that there's two parts to this proposal. The first part will be voted on by the council tonight. And all this is tonight, again, this is not, there is no abatement vote tonight. So I would caution you to be very careful about what you consume on social media, please. This is a part one of two parts. The first part is an adoption. Then the second part is going to be a public hearing at the May meeting, and I believe that's May 12th. And at the public hearing, we will, and of course, at the end of the meeting today, you guys are more than welcome at our public comment portion of the meeting. At the end of the meeting, we need and want to hear from you. But the public hearing will also be a good time. We will not officially ratify this until after we hear from the public at the next meeting. So tonight is just to get the conversation started about this economic revitalization area. So I'm going to go ahead and read this for you, but nothing is set in stone tonight, okay? I just want you guys to know that. A resolution declaring certain real property within Jefferson County, Indiana, an economic revitalization area, and setting the time and place for a public hearing thereon. Whereas Jefferson County, Indiana, the county recognizes the need to stimulate growth and maintain a sound economy within the unincorporated area of the county, and whereas the County Council of Jefferson County, Indiana, the County Council further recognizes that it is in the best interest of the county to encourage and promote investment, development, and economic activity within the county. And whereas Indiana Code 6-1.1 -12.1 furthermore, is going to be identified as the act authorizes the designation of the economic revitalization areas as defined in the act, and provides the process for the adoption of such a designation. And whereas certain real property located within the unincorporated area of the county is more particularly depicted and generally described on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated. Heather, I'm going to stop right there just for a second. Is everybody going to have access to this, to see this?
We can post it,
Please.
yeah.
Yeah, so this
It
is
was there.
This is gonna be the area, and we'll make sure that that's posted for you guys to take a look at publicly. Whereas certain real property located within the unincorporated area of the county, as more particularly depicted and generally described on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, quote unquote, the real estate, consists of part the former United States military installation known as the Jefferson County Proving Ground. And whereas the county council finds the real estate has become undesirable for or impossible of normal development and occupancy because of a lack of development, cessation of growth, deterioration of improvements or character of occupancy, age, obsolescence, substandard buildings and other factors which have impaired values or prevent a normal development of property or use of property, particularly given the property's prior use as a federal military installation and its extended period of limited development and aging or obsolete infrastructure. And whereas the county council desires to establish such an economic revitalization area that consists of the real estate for purposes of supporting future development and economic growth. Now therefore be it resolved by the county council that, Section 1, the real estate as depicted and generally described on the attached Exhibit A is found to be in an area within the county's jurisdiction and meets the statutory criteria of an economic revitalization area as set forth under the act, based on the findings set forth in the recitals above, which are incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, the county council hereby determines that it is in the best interest of the county to designate the real estate as an economic revitalization area. We're about done, folks. Section 3, the county council hereby determines that the real estate depicted and generally described on the attached Exhibit A is declared an economic revitalization area as that phase is used and intended under the provisions of the Act. Section 4, the resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage, subject to the notice and hearing provisions of Indiana Code 6-1.1, 12.1, 2.5, and 5-3-1-1. The hearing contemplated by said statute shall be held at the time and place of the next regularly scheduled meeting for the county council, which will be May 12th at 5:30. At such meeting, the county council shall take final action determining whether the qualifications for the economic revitalization area have been met, and shall confirm, modify, and confirm or rescind the resolution. Such determination and final action by the county council shall be binding upon all affected parties, subject to the appeal procedures contemplated by the act. Section 5, the county is further authorized and directed to file this declaratory resolution together with any supporting data with the Jefferson County Assessor, and to each of the officers of each taxing unit that has authority to levy property taxes in the geographic area of the economic revitalization area. So, having said all that, I'm going to entertain a motion that we adopt resolution 20-26-010.
I'll make that motion.
Anybody second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain due to the quickness that we got this.
Okay, Ray's going to abstain. So, just for your all's information, at the May meeting, we will give you guys a chance, and of course, again, we're gonna have public comments at the end of this meeting. And there'll be another opportunity on the 12th of May to discuss this further. And upon consideration, then we'll do the final vote to determine whether or not the area at JPG that's been discussed is going to be deemed as an economic revitalization area or not. And we can rescind that, or we can move forward with that. And we want to hear from you guys between now and then. And I'm going to go ahead and say publicly, my number is 812-493-9577. So let's bypass the gossip and the hearsay and the conspiracy stuff, and let's come to one of us and talk to us. We're not trying to hide anything. We'll talk with you about anything. Please come to us. Call us. You can text me. I work during the day. At night, I will try to return your call. It may not be that evening, but it will be within 24, 48 hours. Text me. My name's Dwayne May, and I think that I speak for all of us that we are certainly here to listen to any of your concerns. We got a month, and I want more information myself. And I agree with Ray, this has come on us quickly, but I'm glad we didn't have to finalize anything tonight. Does anybody on the council have any comments?
I think you said it well.
Okay. All right,
I would just say, no, that we're asking a lot of questions as well, everything, same
Yes.
concerns you have is in regards to water, noise pollution, concern with big oaks and what's currently obviously taking place on that property, so you're asking, the same questions that you are as well.
yes, we live here too. We live here and pay taxes too, so whatever you guys have to go through, we're gonna have to go through with you, so we're trying to make the best decisions. And we want more information too. There's some big things coming. And, we definitely want to make sure we make informed, but let's make sure we get informed. Let's get good information. Let's keep the conspiracy and the misinformation. Let's keep that out of the public discourse. That's unhelpful. Let's see. Transfer and additionals. We have 2 of those tonight, don't we?
Yes. So transfers tonight, we have from the first and only transfers from the prosecutor's office, and that's Fund 1000, account number 122050000.0009 for $7,500 to a new account number that will be called Prosecutor Summer Intern. Dave sent a letter. Basically, he has a vacancy. He hasn't been unable to fill that vacancy for quite some time. And he has an opportunity to have a summer intern, which would be at a lower cost, than an employee. And they could get through the summer with that. And by doing the transfer with no additional cost to the county.
I would motion for the drug prosecutor transfer of $7,500 to the summer intern.
Anybody second that?
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Appreciate his letter.
We've also got, let's see. Resolution 2026-009. This additional appropriation is for amount of 70,594 from 1112 lit and 70,594 from 1170 public safety lit. This is going for the IT, the new IT,
The new IT contract.
new IT contract. I would like to entertain a motion that we approve this resolution.
I can make that motion that we split the 70,594 split between the 1170 and the 1112. Each an amount of $70,594 for the new IT contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I will go ahead and send that around for everyone to
Please.
sign.
Thank you. Does anybody on the council have any comments to make about anything we've discussed tonight?
I do.
Okay.
You had discussed the liaisons.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for
But-
reminding me about
Now
that.
that's fine. I had been in contact with, Tabitha, the clerk, and concerning moving or not moving the office, but the election, storing of elections, equipment and voting machines into the back of the annex. And she had our maintenance person go in and look and give us a quote. She's asking for us to take a relook on that. He deemed that the building would be sustainable. There are some areas of issue, but they could be repaired. Teton looked at it the first time, gave us a bid, and then he came in and gave us a second bid and was going to do it over the winter months.
Mike,
Mhm.
he was gonna do it himself, okay?
Yeah. During, when there's downtime.
Okay,
And, which would be a cost savings to the county. But it just kind of went nowhere. So I would like us to take a relook at that, maybe ask Tabitha to come in and make that consideration. I think she spoke to us about the need. If anybody has been in that room back there where the voting machines are at, you can't hardly move in that room.
Okay.
There needs, you've been back
Yes,
there.
I have some stuff stored in the far, I guess, northwest corner.
Yeah,
And she and I had already talked that if she were able to get that space to where she could have all of her stuff in better condition over there, that I could then move my permanent records that are just on pallets to the courthouse and actually have access to them.
Mhm.
And be able to store them better because she would give me her storage areas in the
Right.
basement.
At the time that we first presented it, or she first presented it to us, it just made a lot of sense. So then that's why she went out and got the bid. It was much more than what she had available to use on that improvement project. So then that's when our maintenance person proposed that during the winter months that he come in and work on that.
so that was gonna come out of her budget, is that how that was gonna work? Okay. Okay, well, that's
And
something,
then that would be helpful to the auditor's office. It just was so I would appreciate if we take a relook at that.
okay, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else have any comments before we go to the public, right?
I met with Sheriff's Department and, they now have, gotten the 3 contracts down to 1, which is a blessing, and, they're gonna be in need of, some additional tasers and body cams. So, they'll have a more accurate, number and also, cost estimates on those. Before we start budgeting at our budget hearings in, July.
Mhm.
Didn't we have a lot of extra tasers at one time?
Yeah, but
Wasn't
they
there
all-
surplus?
They,
Yeah, they can only last so long.
and then
Okay.
he took care of that maybe in exchange, you know,
That's
with
right,
another
that's
department. Sheriff Flint is here if you wanna hear from him. I think he's in the other room. Or he was.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he over there, Kevin?
Thanks, sir.
Would you mind?
While we're waiting for Ben, I just wanted to let everyone know that this is now available on the county council's section of the website under draft ordinances.
Is there a way you can post your agenda items along with your notice? That's a big issue as far as communication, miscommunication that's being allocated here.
Okay.
People don't know, when did you guys get that resolution?
I saw a copy of it last week, I think it was, last week.
Right, I sent out to all of council at least last Friday, I believe.
It would be nice if the public had the same opportunity. The city doesn't.
Okay. I'll start sharing it with Sarah and see if we can get that on
Thank you.
the same place.
Yes.
We've talked about the, equipment that the sheriff's department is needing. I know Laura had approached me about tasers and then, Ray went and met with her. Can you kind of discuss like what the needs are? I know you're doing half and half.
Correct. So with Pager Axon, you do a 5-year contract with them. And then after that 5-year window on the equipment, it becomes essentially null and void. So if there's any damage to the equipment or there's any issues with the programming within that equipment, it's at our cost to pay to fix that. If you enter in, and you also have to start buying each individual taser cartridge, which is approximately $45 to $50 per shot. So anytime you do training, that cost is at our dime. However, if you stay current within their contract and you renew their contract every 5 years, they include those taser cartridges as part of the program. So it's just kind of a,
So were you, doing half of the replacement in or half of those in 27? Or at the end of this year and then the next year, do you know?
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be going into fiscal 27.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then my other question is, can you share more information about Wellstone?
Yes, so they have been working, Miss Crawley knew her from working over when she used to work for parole. But we've been talking and they are partnering with us to help train some of our staff, all of our road officers, as to mental health issues. And it also gives us that route where if we go into the public and we're dealing with someone that may have a mental health crisis, we can reach out to them. It is, in Jeffersonville, we would have to transport them from A to B. But it gives us an in with their program to where it cuts out some of that red tape. And we don't have to take them to KDH to be seen here and then away to bed. If they have the availability, they'll allow us to take them straight there, which cuts out the middleman with the KDH.
When does Wellstone start?
So we are going to have that training coming up. I haven't officially set a date yet. She was supposed to give me some dates and times of when that would be available and what it would look like with our schedule, so.
Then my next question, financially, how is that being supported?
Financially, it's to no cost. They're providing the training to
Okay,
us. so.
good.
No issues there.
So those tasers, 5 years, you use them or lose them, right? I didn't know.
Yeah,
Okay, damn,
they corner the market.
okay. Thanks, Ben.
Of course they
Do you have
do.
anything else while you're here?
I do not.
Okay,
I'm here for moral support.
okay. Thank you, Ben. Council,
Visit Madison, Indiana's got their new pamphlet out. It's glorious. It's got like 32 pages. It's got a walking tour. It's got all the events, places, recommendations, pictures and what have you. And they've got a nice magnet for your refrigerator that you can go on down to the visitor center. If you haven't been there for a while, you should go down and visit. They've really got it sparkling. And the other thing that's really I think a real new bright spot is that they're putting somebody, they're crewing up and putting somebody up at the comfort station on Main Street. And that pays just tons of dividends. I mean, I know that the proprietors on the street appreciate it because, you know, people are using the restroom instead of necessarily asking, you know, if they're just coming in and have a need. The other thing is I think it's helping them not get it so tore up at times. So there's a presence there, so. That was it. The Veterans, Council, some things are being planned, big things are being planned for the 250th, parade wise. Another thing, I mentioned this at the Lincoln Reagan dinner, but I'll do it here. The Steam or Steel and Steam, Amber and Greg Whitley, are sponsoring on behalf of the Warfighter Project, another ruck. Did it last year, 100 of us did it. We trolleyed up, we parked down at Bicentennial because we're on parking. We trolleyed on up to the Veterans, Indiana Veterans Memorial Cemetery. We walked, we had a ceremony with the Legion, 21 gun salute, some speaking, ruffles and flourishes, and then we solemnly walked around the entire perimeter and then down Heritage Trail back to Bicentennial and had a little bit of a celebration down there. It was good. And so we think there's gonna be twice as many. So we got 2 trolleys this time, laid on, supported by sponsor. So it's a fun time. My wife rucked with a backpack with 2 4-pound bags of sugar in it. So you don't have to have weight. We had people with strollers that had no business being on the rocky part of Heritage Trail. We all helped port them across it. It was fun. There's dogs, 4 or 5 dogs. It was very good. It was a riotous time. So 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll start shoveling people. 9 o'clock starts at the cemetery, done by 10-ish.
Is there an entry fee?
Hmm?
There's no entry fee.
Correct. Yeah.
There's a link
You-
for
you-
donation.
There is donations. When you see it getting posted, you can go online and contribute to the Warfighter Project.
Yeah, and option.
So, to find that page, do you go to the veterans website or?
I think you're gonna have to go,
Direct us.
I think go Steam and Steel. There'll be more to come out. I'll just,
I got it.
it'll be posted on social media and
More to come in May.
it's the end of May,
Yeah.
25th, so.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
The only thing I want to share is, I just want to say how proud I was of the county. Most folks here at this table, but many from other representing elected officials and departments. We recently had the AIC Regional District meeting, and that was last Tuesday or, yes. And of all the counties there, even though it was in Switzerland County and they only had a couple representatives, Jefferson County by far had more staff there, learning, hearing legislative updates, training during the day. But we had more than any other county represented, at the AIC district meeting. So I'm just really proud of those who, served this county. You were our citizens were well represented. We were really proud to be in that meeting.
More riveting information. It was.
Well, mine flowed sometimes.
Here for
It
insomnia.
was overload.
It was a lot. It was good information, but it was a lot to take in. Also, the State Board of Accounts have a called meeting on June 13th, so hopefully we'll have several of us that will be able to make it to that. They really like for us to be involved in that as for as many of us as possible. It's good information. Any other comments from the council?
I would encourage all council members to try to go to that. AIC said it's very important that your council goes this time. So, they were really pushing that. And then they're also having a budget, and finance 2 meeting, in a month or two, and I'm signed up for that, but anyone else I would encourage everyone to go to.
Is that in June? No,
June is your
May-
guys' conference, and then May.
May 18th.
May 18th is the,
Is that?
I've got the handouts, they're riveting.
Yeah.
All the changes from
The budget and finance two class, if you've already taken that, can you take it again because it's new, right? There's new material.
every time it's new, because new legislation is discussed. I've taken the budget finance 1 class multiple times,
Okay.
and then I'm going to take the 2 class for the first time.
Okay, very good. Okay, any more comments from council? Okay, we're gonna take public comments, per our rules that we agreed upon at the first of the year. Everybody gets 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Do you want me to time and give you a thumbs up?
Yes, yes. So please state your name and your address, and we'd love to hear from you. So whoever's first, come on up. We'll start over here. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I need to go first, Ray. Can we go first?
Yeah, was there a sign-in sheet?
I don't know, I thought this was, but I didn't.
No, it's just the
Okay,
rules
it's
of the
your-
meeting and the agenda.
Oh,
Thanks for trying to be a rule follower.
Yeah. So. And how many want to speak? Would you raise your hands?
You
But
asked me
if-
to come speak, Dwayne.
So if we just got a handful, we don't have to be hard and fast about the 3 minutes. I was just afraid we'd have 20 plus people and we want to give everybody a chance to speak. So, come on up, whoever's first. Go ahead, you go first.
Well, now there may not be a whole lot.
Yeah, we're gonna time you for sure.
You asked me to come though.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I guess I did.
Yeah.
Who did? Who does?
Yeah, I'll get with you after.
Okay.
I thought whenever it came back around.
Oh, yes, we need an update. Thank you so much.
I thought you wanted to hear, but anyway,
I did.
But Ray, you'll still have to.
I forgot about you.
so,
Because
I'm
you're
Robert
both
Black, I'm
done.
the fire chief of Madison Township. I've been working with the new battery farm. We have finally got, it's taken a little while, but, of course, their construction has started. They've been keeping me in the loop. They have, they was a little bit challenged, and we finally got it done, or figured out they were signing paperwork now. They usually pay vendors. And so we had to come up, because we're not tax exempt, but we're a fire department, so we're having these W-9s and all that, but they have agreed to buy us, 3 thermal imaging cameras. They've also agreed to buy us, air monitoring equipment, which is pretty nice. The equipment, it's kind of what the same stance of what we have on our other, except for this is a drop in about like a fire taser, and we can bump test them and in one whack. So, that 500, and then that's a cooling agent that we've used since 2004. And then they're also agreed to buy we call them blitz nozzles in the fire service. They can flow up to 500 gallons of water each. And that's to keep, if one container catches on fire, we can keep each side of it cooled down. And then the air monitors, the air monitor, to check all the air to make sure everything's good or how bad it is. Because we have no other choice than to let that container burn. So, they're supposed to contact Matt True today about an air monitor to put on the drone. So we can go downwind and make sure everything's safe down that way. That one's a little bit more expensive, and that's why they have to, that's like 75,000 to put on the drone. They are going to be spending $50,000 worth of equipment to the fire department. And as soon as we get check in hand, we will order that. I also worked with the heat pump water department today. Their big concern was water flow. Because when I talk about the blitz nozzles, they're 500 gallons of water each. We did our math and our homework and talked to everybody else. We can do it at 250 gallons of water per minute each on each container to keep them cool. However, dew pump water, you're going to be filling a tank that the battery pump put it in at 35,000 gallon water. Automatic fill. So if it gets down so low, it starts filling, and it will fill that at 1,000 gallons a minute. So if we have to bump up our pressure that we're gallons per minute, then we can do that.
So the fire department just would hook into that tank to supply those two guns. So, that's gonna be the cost to the battery farm, but they're gonna put that valve in. And if we do have a fire alarm there, we're gonna set up in dispatch, which is gonna have our safety procedures. The only people that's going to be allowed in there, whether it's a medical emergency or a police emergency or whatever, well, only people who can get in there is the fire department, it's a security system. And you have to have a certain type of key to get in. And we're gonna be the only ones having to have that, like we do with any other facility that we have in the county, in our district. So we will have that at our disposal. EMS or police can't go in there until we advise them that it's safe. We're gonna be going through some intensive training that they're paying for. So they're gonna come here, but we're not only doing it for Madison Township and Rikers Ridge, because their primary fire department has authority, has jurisdiction. The city of Madison, DuPont Fire, any fire department that we may have to call there to assist, then all the county and city fire departments will be trained on facility, and it'll be yearly training, but we gotta go through 2 initial trainings. So, which is gonna be 6 hours on that. So for each time that we go, so a lot of things are coming out positive. And I had to kind of remind them that they get a tax abatement, we're about to get this other stuff figured out. I got some cash in hand before we can order the equipment. And then I will give you guys the receipts to show they paid for the equipment, so you have it on file. And then I will have it on file also.
Thanks, Robert. I got a call from Robert probably about 3 weeks ago. It's been a long time since our last meeting. And he was filling me in on this. He was talking about the thermal imaging and the drones and the 4 to 8 inch hose. And I said, listen, I said, you're talking over my head. I said, could you come to the meeting and kind of fill us in? Because our greatest concern about the farm was public safety. So, and I didn't want to do anything until I knew that Robert and Matt were on board with this and had talked to the company. So thank you for keeping their feet to the fire and making them live up to their agreement. Thank you very much.
They wasn't getting bombed.
Huh?
They wasn't getting bombed.
Thank you. Next.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, so I just wanted to bring up a couple questions about the proposed data center that's coming through. Is that all right to do?
Sure.
Great.
Talk about anything you want to talk about.
Well, don't do that. My name is Elijah Chandler. I live downtown, 302 Jefferson, which is for sale if anyone's looking. There's a lot of information out there about data centers in general. There's not a lot of specifics about the data center they want to put here. And while I have strong concerns about data centers in general, I have very specific concerns about this one. And I would like to hear the answers to these questions. And I only have 2.5 more minutes, so let me give you my bona fides, so you don't think I'm just some hippie screaming at the clouds. I've got a 25-year career in supply chain and logistics, with 15 of that being focused on IT management, software development. I have a certification in no-code AI and machine learning from MIT. And I have been a tech geek since I could walk, so I know what I'm talking about. Here are my questions. What will the monthly kilowatt hour power draw of this thing be? How much of that power will be derived from renewable sources? For the remainder, can they guarantee us no rate hikes in the county? Similar question for water. How much water are they gonna use? They have stated that they're gonna have a closed loop system. That's fantastic, but there's more calcium in the water in this county than there is in the bones of it. So what are they gonna do about that calcium? They're gonna have to either do a water softener or distill it first, which is gonna increase the water cost. It's gonna increase the power cost. I wanna know how they're gonna mitigate all that. As far as light and noise pollution, that's probably not as big a deal considering what GMPG used to have.
Oh, believe me, I'm on the outside of it.
So I'm not as concerned about that. I think a lot of people hear data center and they believe what that means is a lot of high paying tech jobs.
I would love to see that breakdown, because I assure you, you can run a data center with 10 people, 5 of which are custodians, 4 of which are security. And so don't believe that hype. The other thing I have a lot of questions about is what type of data center is this? Is this an enterprise-wide data center where it's going to be used for a single company? Is it going to be a co-location for something like Amazon Web Services, Meta's Cloud Services, that sort of thing? If it is a co-location, can they ensure to us that the tenants, if you will, the digital tenants, are going to be good faith actors, shall we say? I want to make sure that the data that's running through that data center isn't going to be used in any way to compromise the integrity of the lives of those of us in this room and otherwise in Jefferson County. The other thing I just want to just point out to everyone, when I walked in this room, there were 4 people in here besides the county council, and it was a beautiful 73 degrees. Hour and 15 minutes later, it is now at least 102. And I want you to imagine what would happen if we were all standing on our shoulders with 300 people in this room. Now magnify that tenfold, and you've got one room of a data center that would take up the space of, what, 115 of these buildings? It's a lot. It's a lot. I know everyone thinks AI is the future. Maybe it is, I don't know, but if you guys heard about this last week, I would really love answers to all those questions for your sake as well as mine, before anyone casts any vote on anything.
I have a question for you.
Please.
You said there are 2 types of data center, the co.
One of the 2, but yeah.
Right, yeah, but the 2 primary. And what was the first one that you mentioned that serves only one company?
They call that enterprise.
Enterprise, okay.
Yeah, so essentially,
Makes
like,
sense.
a company like Facebook would have a dedicated data center just for them so they can handle their stuff, and there's no issues of if something goes wrong, they can go in there whenever they want. When you have these co-locations, people are essentially renting space in a server, and if something goes wrong with their data, there can be complications with getting into the building, getting into that particular box, that sort of thing.
So you would say the code is more brittle in terms of any commitment to our location.
Right, yeah, so if it's an enterprise, you know, I'll keep using Facebook Meta, because that's what everyone knows. If Meta wants to build it, they're gonna build it. And it's gonna be their stuff all the time. If it's co-location, you're kind of hoping that someone will sign up to use your data center. So there's give and take there.
And one comment I just thought, you were talking about the monthly kilowatt draw. And that you would like to see a guarantee of no rate hike from the electric provider, whether it's RMC or Duke or whatever energy. I bet you're not gonna get a guarantee from the.
Oh, I guarantee you, but I'm gonna put the people
Yeah.
on fire.
Yeah.
We gotta stop talking about fire around electronics.
Oh, yeah, no, please don't.
I'm gonna call the department.
Thank
That's
you.
all for me.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you.
We kind of had like 3 experts right there, so you.
Hi, I'm Kevin Collins. I'm your representative on the RDA, the Regional Development Authority. So I feel like I should give you an update on what's going on in that body that affects this. We are waiting for the final Ready 2.0 approvals, and I'm very optimistic that the Jefferson Proving Ground campground, I like to think of it as the greatest state park for the price of a campground. I think you will rival or exceed any other county park in the state. So hats off to all of you for supporting it. The other thing we're working on now, so on that one, I'm just saying, we're waiting for the final approval. There's a very big due diligence chapter to this story where EY, goes through all the numbers, upside and downside and sideways. And so we're waiting on that, but I'm very optimistic, and that would be a big win for the county. And there's Lilly Arts and Culture projects that are now in the works where those at the IDC and IAC, the Arts Commission, are going to be judging those, kind of sending back to us a short list, and then we'll pony up a little for those that make that first cut, so that they get a bonus point in the final judging, which is again not ours. So the final judging will be done in Indianapolis. On those, we do have some good ones from the region and from this county. So, keep the faith there. When it comes to, how I look at this, question before you, which is not about a data center, I understood to be, are you going to permit an ERA, economic, revitalization area? And if that is it, that's kind of the next step that usually happens in situations like this. Because what it does is it preserves your opportunity to maximize the benefit going forward, for the county, frankly. So, when you think about the campground, which is what motivated me to show up here, you're looking at potential future opportunities to support that effort and develop it further, whether that be additional grants from the private sector or from development, frankly, that would be near it. So when I look at this region, I mean, everything south of the firing line is a big opportunity. And it's one that, I would hope that you would, seriously consider the opportunity there, but also to protect what you already have. And not just in the campground, but in your timber space. So there's a real upside here. And beyond that, and by the way, I grew up listening to the shells explode.
We all did.
I was just a little
Farther away from me.
bit down Thornton Road from your colleague here, but I've been thinking for a long time about how could this be repurposed in a way that benefits the public. And I even tried a couple of times to think of something, advocate for something. I've not seen something this big. But that's for you all to decide later. So the IRA doesn't commit you to anything. It preserves your opportunity to get more money for the county for these opportunities, while reserving your right to vote up or down on any particular exception or proposal.
Could you explain how the county can get more money?
So, I can't speak on their behalf. I'm in this quasi role where I speak on behalf of the RDA, but not necessarily the citizens. So I think I'll pass on that. But there are many opportunities. I'm happy to follow up with you afterwards.
Well, how does it benefit the taxpayer?
Well, it would benefit the taxpayer because the way I understand it, if an ERA is passed, it reserves the opportunity for the county not only to receive enormous revenue, but also to reduce property taxes. But I'll stop there. It's about the limit of my expertise. The last thing I would say is, just as a fan of big oaks, I've seen something online that I think is a little out of line. And that is that this has nothing to do with big oaks. Big oaks sort of merging with Muscatatuck is a product of federal cuts to those funding sources. So there are forced mergers, forced marriages, and this is, at least as I understand it, one of them. That's all.
I don't know if you're speaking about Big Oaks, but after, I don't know, you probably know Joe Robb, after he retired, their staff was reduced immensely at Big Oaks, which he was not aware of that was going to happen, those cuts. So, not saying that Big Oaks is not going to be utilized as the way it was in the past, but you're just not going to have the presence of the staff there as there was.
So, Dale Sides worked for Big Oaks for many, many years. And he just informed me yesterday, because I had worked with Joe on conservation projects on my property. And he was kind of pushed to retire. They're down to one staff. Not gonna be any more patrol birds, he had said. Not gonna be any more management, not even gonna be any more deer. Insurance companies are gonna lose it. Because the deer population will start wiping out certain rare plants that we've got out there. If they drill wells for the data center water, that's gonna drain the wetlands. There's a lot of environmental issues that he brought up in conversation, but he may be in the other room, I'm not sure.
Who, Joe?
No, Dale Sides.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that has worked there. He worked in coal, I think, for a full-time job, but he worked a lot of conservation projects with Big Oaks. He told me Big Oaks is no more. He only told me that yesterday.
Yeah,
So I haven't had a chance to
Mhm.
call anybody else.
yeah. My husband is formerly works for the DNR and he has stayed in communication with Joe Rob. And the changes are gonna be drastic.
Yes.
So it's sad.
My only point is, these are separate topics.
Exactly.
The one happened as a result of powers above us,
Right?
and now we're faced with this other decision.
Kevin,
Maybe
Kevin.
separate hours.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir. You were saying something. I
Oh,
didn't.
I just said it may be separate powers. Ultimately, you never know. When a lot of money's involved, a lot of things gets done behind closed doors.
Okay.
So the coincidence is kind of odd.
We're receiving misinformation.
Yeah, I'm sure we are, but we don't know what.
It's not one-way street. It's everywhere. So we're trying to open up this chain between the council
Yeah,
and the people to find out what issues are we actually facing together.
yeah. So my advice would be, don't post anything until you know the full story.
Well, we
That'd be my
don't, you
advice.
didn't even know what you were voting on tonight, right?
Yeah, I did
right?
know what I was voting on
Well, we
tonight.
don't. We didn't
You
have
know
the
now.
opportunity.
You know now.
Well, Dwayne, you're asking for misinformation. Well, why can't you share what you are looking at and voting on so that the people can understand what you're doing?
That's what we've been doing. That's what we did tonight.
We, the people, don't get to see that. We don't know what you're doing.
You read it
You
to
just
you.
said there.
I read it to you.
I can't see that map that you're
That
talking
will be-
about.
that will-
Heather put it, I'm sorry, this is.
That's what but that's why I made it clear that that needs to be posted. This,
We have
info-
to-
It's just not our typical procedure to post all resolutions, but from this point forward, I've already been emailing the commissioner secretary that takes care of the website. And we're coming up with a plan now so that
Okay.
resolutions will also be included with our agendas.
okay.
Thank you.
Kevin, how much money are we looking at in that grant? I
For
just
the,
want to know what,
campground?
for the Ready 2.0. Are we going to, so have we received, have we been awarded grant money?
You've been approved, but we're waiting for the IDC to give the final. Yes.
Okay,
And I am very optimistic about it.
Okay.
That's why I'm thinking about the future, not just of that parcel, but the rest of your parcel, you know, as well as I understand this is preserving everything south of the firing line for future development. So this is a big opportunity for the county, in my view. It's only one view.
okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any more comments?
You have 3 from the other room.
3 from the other room?
Mhm.
Come, bring them on in if they want to come
Does
in.
that include, does that parcel also include where the state highway or state DOT facility is out
Oh,
there?
department, you mean the highway department for the state? Yeah, I think it's, let me look at the map.
Does it impact existing, does it impact existing businesses?
I don't think it goes all the way out to the state garage.
Just shy of it. I was trying to see how it tucked in.
I was in for size.
Huh?
I was in for size.
Yeah. It goes through the woods, I gotta go straight back.
Yeah, you can give the student pass this.
Oh, Jared.
Okay, thank you. Kevin Stormer, Hanover, part of the county. I would just like to say that the acronym use in the agenda items, be nice to get an explanation of the acronyms when they're posted. A lot of different acronyms mean a lot of different things. Just another thing of, public clarity. Yeah. Like an example would be like BLM. Somebody might think Black Lives Matter, other people might think Bureau of Land Management. NRA is another one, you know, National Recreation Area or National Rifle Association. So a lot of different things could mean a lot of different things. So just an explanation of those acronyms when they get posted would be wonderful.
Okay, very good.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
And, you said your name was Kevin Stormer?
Yes.
Okay, all
Thank you.
right, thanks.
Hello, my name's Mary Hanson and I live downtown. I'm new to the region. I moved in June and I absolutely love Jefferson County. I think it's such a special place. And I know one thing I've learned is everyone who lives here also agrees with that and there's such pride here. And so one of the things I'm concerned about is 50% of planned data centers have been scrapped because they harm places where they're being built. And I know everyone here loves the land. And so why are we even considering this? And so I just really invite you to research this. Just like someone was asking, like, what is the benefit to the taxpayer? I have yet to find any evidence of that. And I am open and very, like, I try to be informed. I would be happy to change my view on this. And yet, there needs to be communication around that. And also the article in the newspaper was actually, yeah, I would say it was not extremely accurate and was very biased and was written for that perspective. And so I just invite that this, I'm still not sure what you are voting on, but I really invite you to be informed and to really think about what is the benefit to this community, because we all love it. I love it and I'm here just a year. And so I just really invite you not to destroy it. It really will have massive
Irreparable.
irreparable damage. And so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I think I probably have 3 over there. I thought Cheryl Tandy was one of them. I'll go and check.
Well, while Pam's checking, I'll take my turn. How's that?
All right.
If you're okay with that.
Just absolutely.
Denied.
You get 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. Greg Sanders, 43 Southwest Main Street, Hanover. I want to use one word, and that's trust. There's a lot of information and data. You can go out and research these data centers online, and the Ford family. How long have you all been farming in Jefferson County? How many years? How many generations?
Just 8.
Just 8 generations. And you can trust the fact that they are not going to do anything in Jefferson County that's going to harm Jefferson County or the people in Jefferson County. I wholeheartedly believe that. But as far as the technology that's being put into this data center, we've talked about closed loop water system and things like that. And JPG has a water system has been there and has been maintained by them since they took ownership of JPG. So there are resources there that I trust the fact when Daniel says that they're not going to incur additional expenses on the citizens here, as well as the state of Indiana has mandated that any of the future data centers are going to have to be self-generating when it comes to electricity. So I trust the fact that their family is going to do the right thing by us as taxpayers and citizens here in Jefferson County, and they're not going to harm their legacy. So, I want to be supportive of their action and what they're doing here in Jefferson County. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got somebody else that wants to speak.
Greg, may I ask one question? Because I left the room and I came back. Who's Daniel?
What?
Oh, there you are. I didn't see you. Podium.
Hi, Lindsay Blues. I live Poplar Street downtown. And I just came to say that I was actually really encouraged by the article in the newspaper, partly because a lot of the data centers that you see coming out in other areas, they don't get out ahead of any of that information. They don't come to it with that kind of approach. So I just want to say that I really appreciated getting that kind of information. I think maybe just a little bit more information on ways to contribute comment moving forward. And maybe a more convenient way might be a good option. As well as, I think someone else mentioned the acronyms in the agenda. I think that would also be a particular thing. A couple of things that kind of caught my eye as I was kind of thinking through it. And I will apologize, I didn't get here in time to hear the initial piece of the puzzle. I was flying in late into the overflow here. But I'm interested to know how the 60 million was calculated. From my understanding, Indiana has a 3% cap and most data companies are paying around 2 million. So that's a pretty big difference there. I know this one is projected to be quite large in comparison to most data centers. So I just kind of want to know with that, how we're getting that number, when we would expect that number, because I would guess that it would not be that right away.
Actually, we haven't received any information. This all fell in our lap Friday.
Oh, so it came to your lap the same time it came into all of our laps then?
So we're
And the
pursuing,
vote was simply about the revitalization area
Okay.
in general, it was
Great.
not
About the-
regarding.
For that,
They-
yeah, so
nor-
that totally
That was part one.
eases my mind even more. So
I
thank
think
you.
in the past, we've kind of rumored that maybe a data center might be looking at
Sure.
Jefferson County, but we've not seen anything.
Well, and why wouldn't a data center be looking at Jefferson? It would be silly for them not to. Definitely data centers are having positive impacts on some communities. There are major concerns though, obviously with primarily environmental concerns, closed loop systems. While it sounds great and everything, there's major issues if that is to leak or contaminate. The contamination coming off of a closed loop system is particularly concerning. So make sure that you keep that in mind. Also, they say that they're gonna take on the cost of the infrastructure that's gonna need to be developed to provide that energy. However, the increased energy generation has to come from somewhere and it is gonna increase demand. So I am concerned about that and where that generation is coming from and how badly that generation is going to be impacting our local community. Now, there could be positives and negatives to that, of course. I just wanna know more about it.
We do too.
Yeah. And then just environmental monitoring, I think a lot of places don't hold their feet to the fire for companies to continually monitor and have the accountability to come back. There have been data centers that have not followed through with what they've said that they were gonna do for to mitigate environmental concerns. And then it's come back and it's been really awful. So really kind of pushing and making sure that environmental monitoring and that accountability is happening. Otherwise, just change of ownership. Do we have any concerns about if it were to be built and then just, you know, shifted over to someone else and what that kind of ownership shift looks like? Any guarantees that we might have regarding that? And then my last and final reminder is just that AI is being hyped as this solution for the future, but it has not been proven and tested. And a lot of people have, you know, surmised that this is a bubble in our economy that has the potential to cause some pretty big impacts. So we just need to be careful moving forward. I think there are a lot of positives to it if it's done in the right way. I think of any place within Jefferson County, you know, JPG might be a great location. So I know we've been looking for a long time at what to do in that space. And so just glad that we're looking at options.
I appreciate your comments and I might just add some comments just for us to be thinking about because it's all approached us very quickly, but you spoke about environmental issues,
Yes.
which I'm a big environmentalist, married one. So therefore I became one. Asbestos and unexploded ordinances. You know, in the past, that was a government piece of property. So as constituents of Jefferson County, we didn't have say what happened out at JPG. But I think going forward from when the installation of JPG occurred to present, we know a lot more about environmental hazards, situations. And you mentioned the closed loop. Many of us in the county have a geothermal. So you're very aware when your geothermal starts leaking, you're leaking contaminants into the ground table. So I think that's all taken in consideration, but we've moved so far from where we were. And I think that we're so aware of environmental issues, but I'm not gonna say that what decisions we make today in 20 years, they may be obsolete. So just to keep that, AI is a big hype. It is like the focus on anything. But I do know that we're trying to stay in front of our competitors around the world and trying to stay on top of things. So I think that we have to be mindful of what data centers can provide. As you said, they can possibly be a benefit. So all I'm asking is for people to go into it with an open mind. I'm not saying I'm one way or the other. Hey, kill the first bird and I'm gonna be upset. Right? So, but, I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Councilman May, when I answered your question, I omitted the dollar figure, which is 3 million. So the grant we're looking at is $3 million. To jumpstart the campground, which really I think will end up being a state level park. I'm excited because of all the other assets that you already have, the lake, the trails and so forth. So it's 3 million.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
I just wanted to clarify that all the issues that were concerning data centers, that's not before your board. Just this ERA, the acronym right there. So everything that we're dealing is gonna have to be addressed with the Board of Zoning Appeals. There is an appeal that is filed. No date, no anything else. But these same concerns need to be relayed there. So I'm glad that you're listening to these concerns, and then how do those concerns roll over and affect the ERA that you guys are looking at? Do they touch one another? Are they totally unrelated?
I think, go ahead.
This is just to say whether we will or will not allow there to be any future project out at the JPG. And it is an economic revitalization area. It's basically saying we can't use it for anything else, so we're gonna have a potential project. We all know the 500-pound gorilla in the room and what that means. What we're looking at, we have to be transparent about that. But all of these issues about environmental, about energy use, about water use, about decibels, noise pollution, and all those things, that is not for us to determine, but we have to decide whether we want to pave the way for something that we think may or may not benefit the county. So if we decide as individuals, we're not sure this is going to be helpful, we don't want anything, we don't want to be involved in anything that will pave the way for this project, we'll vote no.
So how many acres are in this ERA that you propose?
Let's see.
I don't think it is the number of acres, does it? It goes from 421 to 7, and then across the south edge of JPG. And then it looks like to me, when I looked at it, when we first got it, it looks like it goes to the roundabout that cuts like right in the middle of the roundabout.
Yeah, it's not quite.
South of that, like if you take a straight line from where you go into Wood, I think it's Woodville, yeah, Woodville Road that goes in the entrance, it just goes straight back and then it angles very slightly up from there.
So the Fords own most of that land. The county owns a part of that land. I think the campground and the western
Right.
fields,
The
that's on the
south,
county.
southeast corner
Okay,
is what, or well, it's like where the entrance is. Oh, Bobby, you can comment on that.
We have, Kruger Lake is 254 acres. Then we own property to the
Yeah.
south of that and southeast.
Mhm.
The wooded parcel is 472 acres. That is to the west, southwest corner. There on Fraser Road. Well, it's not all of it. It's not all of it.
so under 800 acres that the county owns and the rest is in private hands or owned by the Fords? Is that
Exactly.
kind of where we're?
I think that's
Right, I would,
There's no other ownership in that.
Not that I'm aware of.
area, in that ERA.
not that I'm aware of.
Doesn't go quite out to 7, it stops at where it's 3,000 stations.
And how will that ERA benefit the county?
Open up, it classifies that as the economic revitalization, so we can entertain ideas.
So if Toyota wanted to build a plant, they could.
Yeah,
Well, that's very encouraging. Thank you.
so it just opens up our options. It doesn't limit it. So we don't have, the ability to do anything in there.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the benefit to the taxpayers. I understand that you're talking the benefits for you, and what you do should benefit the taxpayers. So I just guess a little bit more clarity on what this ERA will do to benefit the
It
residents.
could,
and
I think that it could
citizens of-
potentially lower property taxes. I don't know. But you also are dealing with a change in the state and how they calculate property tax through SBA 1. So saying that they're gonna be reduced any further than what the current establishment says that they're gonna be reduced.
But we're removing tax base with the ERA. That's not gonna benefit the general tax base for the taxpayers.
That's not removing any tax base.
Doesn't it work like a TIF?
No.
It goes to its own benefit,
No.
or is it not taxed at all?
It's strictly zoning.
It's zoning, so what about the they can apply for for tax deductions,
Yes.
which is a given that that's going to be a part of that.
Most
How many
anytime
does it
you
take?
have a business moving in, I think every time that we've had a large business move in, they've
Well,
kind of
actually,
discussed.
actually with SB 1, a lot of TIF asks are going away since they're real property. They can go down, they can depreciate down to 0 now instead of down to 30%. So it's.
But
they
your
don't-
grandfather in the current tips that are
Yes.
issued.
So it's a deduction, not an abatement. And I'm just asking this board to try to explain to the taxpayer what the benefit will be to them, other than being able to encourage this type of big industry to come in, and that how is it going to reduce our tax burden? How is it going to help our infrastructure?
Well, if we get more industry in there, then we create jobs and.
What other industry would go in there with a 7.1 million square foot hyper data
I don't
center?
know, we.
I've heard from 2 or 3.
I mean,
So all this does is open the door for any project, whether it be data center,
if this
and
data center doesn't happen, we could.
we can do something
something
else.
else.
And this isn't even a given. We may decide that this isn't a good idea and this isn't in the best interest and, but even if we decide even if we vote to make this an ERA and this becomes something that's valid and becomes solid and is a ERA, then we're still not saying we're pro or against data centers. We're just saying that we're opening that up for any project that's coming.
And again, we're just asking how that designation will benefit the taxpayer. Don't need an answer right now. We can deal with it
It doesn't
at our
hurt,
next meeting.
it doesn't
Okay.
hurt the taxpayer,
It doesn't benefit us.
but it
Thank
doesn't
you.
hurt you.
Opens opportunity for companies to come in and increase the tax base.
Once infrastructure gets built up there, then it
It
may
also could
encourage
increase our taxes,
other entities to come in.
because they're gonna put deductions in, and they're not gonna be contributing to our schools unless you do a pilot program or something else. I mean, let's just get real. That's all.
That's what we want. We want to get real. Let's get real. I want
Yes.
us to do that.
It's never, I mean, do you not want ever to bring any kind of job in? Because, I mean, if our citizens are making more money, then that's a
Well,
good
sure,
thing.
but I asked, how's it gonna benefit our citizens?
Does somebody want to come up to the podium, please? Could you come up to the podium? We got two. We got
And
two.
then Lindsay's out in the hall.
And Lindsay's out in the hall.
I'm Jed Skillman, 1505 Michigan Road, there. So I listened to the discussion here. First off, I have a general suspicion of data centers, but I'm willing to listen. And as you discussed benefit to Jefferson County, that's gotta be ironclad. And by a benefit to Jefferson County, having a rate hike in electricity potential, that's not a benefit. And we had someone say a little earlier, they could run this thing on like 6 guys. 3 of them are security, and the other 3 are just the techies that run the place. Well, that's not bringing in jobs. So we gotta find out what is the benefit. And it's not gonna be $60 million of taxes into Jefferson County, because that isn't gonna happen. But if it's 5 million, well, that's a benefit to the taxpayers. But when they build a building like that, who provides the fire protection? Because, and it's a 2-story building, as I understand. And, right?
A few of them.
Okay,
And then down the road, when that becomes very successful and it kind of maxes out, they'll either want to spread sideways or they'll go up. And I hope they go up and keep it compact and as minimum footprint as possible. But that also means the minute you say 2 stories, that means that adds a degree of difficulty wiring. So, and that's an expense, because they'll have to account for that before there's ever a fire. They're gonna need a ladder trucks, are gonna need the water supply before there's a fire. They're gonna have to sit down and think, how bad is it gonna get? That's millions and millions and millions of dollars going up in smoke. We have to stop it. And you can't say that when the fire starts. You have to buy the trucks, you have to have the firemen, crew trained for this stuff. So that's an expense. Who bears that expense? So what the whole thing on your discussion is this going to benefit Jefferson County? Or is it gonna be nickel and dime? Your fire department costs go up, your electric rates go up, you know, your water rates go up, blah, 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 blah. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
These are all very valid points, very valid points. That's why we wanted to hear from you. And we'll hear more at the next meeting in May. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a very brief comment. I'm hoping that we can believe the numbers and the information that's in the article. The article did say that the data center was not seeking a tax abatement, which is very rare for that to happen. I would push for that, if possible, if they're really serious about that. ERA, part of what that does is allows for tax abatement, correct? Not right?
That does pave the way for that
That's what that
potentially.
is.
Yes,
Deduction, not
yes,
an abatement.
yes.
Oh.
Deduction.
No, it can pave the way for,
It's
First-
not an abatement. We're gonna parse words here.
well, you said, let's get real, so
We are.
you're not yet. So let's go back for a second. Before you can get to it, before any project can come for a tax abatement, we first have to designate this as an ERA. This is step 1. The next time we'll vote step 2. Then whatever project it is, whether it's a data center or any project, then they could potentially come to us for a tax abatement.
Deduction, right here, ERA.
Yeah,
This is
no.
the-
I'm not enjoying this meeting, but can I make a statement? You've chimed in on every person that's been brave enough to come up to the podium, introduce themselves and give their address. And I would love for you to do the same. But to sit there and chime in on every person as they're speaking, take your 3 minutes and we'd love to hear from you at the podium.
Okay.
So are you willing to do that when she's done?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we're clear about what the data center might or might not ask for when if they're like angling toward getting a tax abatement or something, an additional benefit that they had originally said that they weren't gonna do. I'm just throwing some things out there for consideration.
If you look at the code, it does say deductions, but it also says potential abatements.
Yes.
So look at the code. The code says abatements. Anybody can come to us for an abatement after we pass this.
And that's.
But they don't have to. And has anybody been approached? Has anybody on the council been approached about an abatement? This information.
I also want to also say that I'm not necessarily against tax abatements. I'm just saying that if we're gonna have let's have the information that's out there to the public be consistent with what is actually going to happen, if possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Uh-huh.
I'm Kevin Collins. I'm still a resident of Jefferson County. I'm on Thornton Road, Pam Climbing. So I choose to believe that the Madison Courier probably got this right, and they probably were given direct access to those who have the numbers. So I just want to recite a couple of these because I think they're getting lost in this. When completed, this development, if it occurs, would create approximately 300 jobs and potentially generate 60 million in annual tax revenue. So that's one point I read here. Another point I read is that there'll be a transformational benefit. Why? Because there will be 9 buildings totaling 7.1 million square feet. It'll take 3 to 4 years. And the infrastructure upgrades necessary for electricity, for example, will be funded 100% by the project, so the data center costs are not shouldered by ratepayers. The next topic I see here is that infrastructure investment increases the reliability of people without them paying for it. I don't know about you guys, but my power goes out a lot and we're kind of tired of it. Then finally, when it comes to water, there will be an advanced cooling system called a closed loop cooling system. You only change the fluid about once every 10 years. The closed loop cooling system does not generate industrial wastewater flows. The project will use existing JPG infrastructure for water with the on-site water tower and the JPG state licensed private sewer. The project does not involve tapping groundwater. It would use less water than a normal golf course. Maybe last, there's an internet upgrade that could probably benefit everyone, with 3 high-level backbone internet card lines being installed. Almost done. So it'll be a multi-million-dollar investment. During construction, the project is expected to contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to the county's assessed value. And they intend to support, that would support Jefferson County schools, roads, social services, and then lowering property taxes for homeowners and farmers. Beyond that, I read here that the Ford family and others are committing 25 million in charitable contributions to fund local nonprofits, including 1.5 billion to the Jefferson County 4-H Fairgrounds. And I see in here also supporting firefighting, among other things.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sure.
Go.
Thank you. I'm sure it's your from deputy. And I have a very nice op-ed that Mr. Keller wrote for us. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry, huh?
I said it was a nice op-ed that Mr. Kellers had read for us. You guys don't have a microphone, do you?
No, sorry, we're not that advanced.
That's okay. And that was what the project is projected to do. It's an advertisement for that. The actual plan, if it comes through, that's fine. It would generate all these millions of dollars until it's deducted or it's abated. Everything might go wonderful. We don't know. We've got questions. We don't know how much power. We have all these other questions here. So again, I'm just asking, guess we don't need to be addressing the data center itself right now. But yet, that's where we keep going back to, because it's the biggest elephant in the room right here. We're addressing the economic benefits to Jefferson County, and that is to take politics out of it. So, Mr. Wayne, I am not your opposition. I am here to understand what's and be able to relay what I understand and get clarified. When I don't understand it, a lot of stuff isn't there. There's not misinformation. There's no information. We went through solar. Now we're going through this. There's a lot of distrust of our government with our people. We have to bridge that. And we can't sit here and keep shooting arrows at one another. There's a lot of high emotions. So if we can drop all of that and try to work together on what this means and how it will benefit Jefferson County as a whole, and that certain taxpayers or economic development or other things that, I'm sorry, we got too many fingers in the till right now. This has to come back and benefit us.
I agree.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Will you do us a favor
I certainly will.
and not post that we are somehow in cahoots in some kind of secret meeting where we're probably, the implication was we're part of some kind of, we're getting some kind of secret kickback or something. That was,
Well, there
I
was
can
some-
read the post.
Well, I haven't put anything that you're getting a kickback, but transparency.
You said,
So what are people
you indicated you
supposed
made
to,
secret
what are
hits.
people supposed to think when, okay, what's an ERA? JPG ERA. What's that? There's your acronym right there. What are you guys meeting about? What are we doing? Oh, you're gonna give them tax abatements. We didn't have anything with solar. It came up. People don't trust anything. And then we hear AI data center, and then we have the op-ed in the newspaper. Give the people a reason to trust you and to reconnect.
Help us by giving good information.
I posted that agenda on Friday and one single taxpayer has called my office to ask what that acronym was.
I figured it out. I
Not a single
posted,
one person
I
called.
posted that.
I
And I
would've-
don't think that was misinformation.
Right.
And the thing that Heather, I understand, the thing is if you would have put like the resolution,
Mhm.
that would have quelled that down so that people could maybe address it with their council people instead of getting all freaked out that you guys are gonna go ahead and pass this tax thing tonight. We don't know the process.
I've answered hundreds of calls and not one single person has called us about this meeting tonight.
Well,
I'm not,
I'm the one that had given that off to the people. We're trying to deal with that right now.
Okay.
So I'm trying to bridge that.
Yeah, and I actually read some of the, I don't get on social media that often, but when I was posting about some activity last week, I read this like tax abatement and the data center coming in, and I'm like, what? I don't even know anything about it, so.
if there was a concern, like if someone would have contacted me that the acronyms were a problem, I would have adjusted and reposted.
I don't know that. It's the auditor that I would have to get a hold of if I have a question on what that agenda item is.
Did you ask
I'm gonna
us?
post.
Did you reach out to one of us?
I normally post that.
Did I get it wrong?
I'm deputy.
No, but if you didn't know, if you're concerned the taxpayers don't
Did
know
I
what
get
those
it
letters
wrong?
mean.
Did I
who
get
you
it
ask?
wrong? Did I get it wrong?
Well, I never said you did. I
Yes, you
simply-
did.
No,
Why should
ma'am.
I have to get a hold
No, ma'am,
of
the
you?
exact words out of my mouth were, did you reach out to one of us?
Did I have to?
She said, answer my
I
question.
just got, I got on that AI Google and I asked, what is the ERA? And there it was.
And you encourage folks to show up.
And I
It's
showed, I
totally
encouraged
fine.
people to show up.
This is
So
our-
There's gonna be an
Well, thank
abatement,
you.
which there's not been.
Thank you. So you don't see, it's not overflowed. It didn't get it out there. Now we can go ahead and unify and get this message out here. This is what they're doing. We're doing together as a county, and this is when you have your voice. I'm not the opposition. I'm not the devil here. And I won't be demonized by you.
Well,
Yes.
we're not gonna be
Thank you.
demonized by you too. It appears a secret deal has been made. That was your words. Did you not write that?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
It means that appearances are everything.
Okay, so.
Now you're getting some information out. We have experience to look at here. We see how all this stuff works. So let's start new.
So who among us has got a secret deal and what do you mean by that? Sounds conspiratorial. That's unhelpful. So you can be the first one to start this unification by quit posting this kind of
I'm
stuff.
correct my posts. Okay,
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
telling you.
It was
that
offensive
I
and
found,
wrong.
well, it wasn't meant to be offensive, but it was meant to get your attention and I guess it has. So let's go
It
ahead
got
and
my
move
attention
forward
because
from here.
I knew that we were gonna talk about a resolution, but I didn't know that the data center, so I was like,
And nobody reached out to me either. It's a two-way street.
yeah, so I thought I'd just wait to the meeting and find out what it was about, other than getting the resolution ahead of time. So,
And see, and you guys pass stuff without really, I don't even know if you know what you're voting on.
yes, so.
Do you have enough time to know what it is that you're voting on?
Mhm.
Yes.
Point of order, please. This meeting has gotten personal and hearsay and out of hand, and I would like the chairman to render
Yes.
that problem,
Okay.
please.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Does anybody else need to speak tonight?
I saw somebody with their hand up in the back row. Ma'am, did you have your hand up? Okay, all right. I tried to watch out, see who
We have
needed.
nobody else outside that needs to talk.
I guess I do have a question.
Okay.
Per their op-ed in the Courier claiming the 60 million, no tax abatements, et cetera. I mean, they keep saying we. When they're said and done, when you get to the board, did the board sell that property to Google, Meta, whoever this data center is? We don't know, because there's no transparency. I live at the end of Paper Mill Road. They have never once approached us to discuss. None of our neighbors. There was no transparency. So when they say we, who is we? Because if you're taking the board's word for it, will that then relay over to the people that buy the data center? Like, if nobody knows the order of how this goes. They're the landowners. They keep saying we. But how does that keep going down the line? You know, how they can say all they want, but will their promises pass over to the ultimate end owner
of the data center. Because nobody knows. They can say all they want, but if they're not the end user, then there is no agreement anywhere. If we don't know who we're dealing with, how do you make a deal? You see what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's a secret. So how do you make a deal? How do you make a good faith vote when you don't know any details?
Well, I would like to say that, going forward, I don't know if the rest of the council would agree with me, but I would like to see a pamphlet of information to be fair to the public of the guarantees, like that gentleman was talking about. How many guarantees can we have? And information of acronyms like that gentleman from Hanover wanted. Because I feel like that once we get that, it can ease some fears if we move forward. If that makes any sense.
And I would just interject here, tonight, we were just passing the ERA. It has nothing to do with the data center, so I don't feel comfortable talking about a data center. Because number one, I don't know enough about it, I don't even think, it's not even in front of us, so it's a moot point right now.
Right. But if
To
we
me,
have, if,
but I appreciate everybody's comments, so that when it does come time, then we at least have done our exploration and we can ask questions, just like we did with solar. Ask those questions and the battery area, which I didn't support, but, we had to make decisions based on the information that we were receiving
But if we had
and the questions.
that informational packet,
It helps you make a better,
wouldn't that be help everybody?
and you can hear from your
Us and the public
constituent.
as well?
Yeah, you can hear from
But
your
to that,
constituent.
Bob Demery is a man of integrity, and the article that he, where nobody's disputing it.
Mhm.
The article that he wrote in the paper
Yes,
spells out a lot of that.
oh, yeah.
You know, I'm not suggesting that at all, I'm just saying I'd like some more, for the public, some more guarantees, as many guarantees as we can get. And information that will answer questions. Moving
Of
forward.
anyone that would get, not just data center. Anything.
But the
Yeah.
decisions we're making will pave the way. So let's
Right.
be honest about it.
Right, yeah.
So we do need more information. And we want to
When
hear
that's-
from you guys about this.
When that step comes, and we hope we get a lot of information.
There's a lot of concerns,
Yeah.
water, power, decibels, firefighting, all these things are great concerns that you guys have brought up. Somebody's in the back there.
Yeah, I agree. All this stuff is set up, it's no different what I did best. To notify people, the zoning board would be your great resource.
Mm-hmm.
They're part of the county. A lot of this is set up to notify people. Look, if I want to burn a house for training, if anybody's within 1,000 feet of that structure I'm gonna burn for training, we have to notify every homeowner.
Yeah.
If it's past that 1,000 feet, we don't have to tell anybody. But we do go do our due diligence, say, hey, this weekend we're gonna have this private road shut down because we're burning. It's the same way with zoning. It's got a certain amount of feet before they have to notify anybody, any homeowner of something coming in. So as long as you have the footage, then they either have to or they don't. Technically, but the zoning board, this is all a zoning board thing right now. It's all in front of them. If they approve it, because it's already industrial, then we can vet it, all we want to make sure we get the guarantees, that's the right thing to do. Not like it, and I agree with Greg. The Ford family has very well put it in the paper and answered a lot of questions. But when we start twisting our minds around because we listen to Facebook, look how Facebook's done. You look at all the rumors on there. And it's all started usually by one person and it expands. It's no different. I go over here and tell Ray a secret and he passes it down. By the time it gets over here, the story's totally changed from the way I had it written down. Because it gets changed a little bit as it goes around. I learned this back in the 80s. I think everybody learned it.
The Agree commercial.
I'm getting ready to sound old, but anyway, we gotta stop this as a community to help the communities because we're not grown. It used to be when I started into the factory life, all the factories had a roundtable meeting and they had it once a month. They usually met at Dos Ponderosa. And they would talk about we're gonna pressure the politicians. We don't want this other factory moving in because it's gonna pull from our workforce. We're gonna pay $1 more an hour to move them in. So we're not at that point anymore. We're wanting people to come in. Look how everybody else is expanding.
Yeah.
And we still sit here, and, well, we don't want to do this or we don't want to do that. I think they're explained very well by the Ford family. In there, they got their own sewer, their water comes from downtown Madison on their own system that was developed back for JPG. So it's not gonna affect the water source to the city of Madison, to pump water or any of them. So the old sewer plant is certified by the state of Indiana. We gotta start thinking a little bit more instead of thinking all this stuff or being mad at people and start asking questions. But the zoning board's where it starts at. That's where this meeting should be at right now. It should be the zoning board. It shouldn't be to the council.
And even if we rescind this and vote this down, that still doesn't mean the project's gonna stop. What it may mean is we're not gonna get some benefits if we do that. If we wanna maximize our benefits, we have to vote for this to be an ERA. I'm not saying we're going to, and I do want more discussion. I don't believe that anybody in this room, I believe everybody in this room cares about this county. I honestly believe that. We're very passionate about it. That's seen here tonight. So give it some thought between now and the next meeting. Call me, we'll talk about it. And come back out and get your thoughts together. Let's get good information. Let's get some good data. Let's talk to each other. We love this county, but let's be neighbors to each other. Let's be neighbors. It's not a good neighbor when we imply things about each other. That's not being a good neighbor. Yes.
Where does one find the qualifications that have to be met to be an ERA? Is that a state guideline? Is that a county guideline?
The state.
It's
Like, where would you find that? Would you go to Indiana State?
in Indiana. I'll give you this when I'm done.
Okay.
I'll let you have this. Indiana code. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, man. That was
It can be posted, that's fine.
that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it was,
not a hard copy tonight.
Okay.
and I took excerpts out of it because I wasn't sure that I wanted to make sure, because when we say adoption, to me, it sounds like
It's fine.
that's final. So I got to look into it, and it does say there that we have to have another meeting with a public hearing before we vote on it. Which, because I actually had this taken off the agenda. You can ask Heather. I had this taken off because I didn't think the public had enough time to respond. I was having wheel tax flashbacks. And I didn't think the public had enough time to respond to this. So then I got to doing a little research and I realized people would have another month to reach out to us, to talk to us, to get some information together. And we could have this conversation. So the next meeting, you guys will start off. It'll be you guys. And we'll try to keep it to 3 minutes then though, because there'll be probably a lot of people wanting to talk. So I'll try to do a little better about keeping things in order.
You
So,
gonna cater it?
huh?
You gonna cater it?
I don't know. Maybe. Does anybody have any more comments? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'd like to just squash one rumor that I heard coming out of some people.
Yeah, can we get your name, please?
Adam Suter.
Okay.
Big Oaks is not shutting down because of the AI data center. Correct. I'm an employee there. I'm on the fire crew. Big Oaks is going through some changes with management. There's some new people coming in, I guess, that aren't really fond of Big Oaks. So I just thought that I'd go ahead and stop that rumor there. If you guys have any passion at Big Oaks, I suggest you call senators, people who, you know, have some pull, because it's in the process right now. So that's all I have.
So what specifically is in the process?
I can't really talk about that.
Okay.
Would it help you to have our state representative for the area come down, our US Congresswoman? Or state
If
representative?
somebody else would like to do that.
We can get that taken care of.
And if you don't mind, we just like to know who is speaking publicly. What's your name and address? You had a chance to speak publicly and we just want.
Adam Suter in 1830 Stephen Holland.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Adam.
If I wanted to get a hold of you, can I get your number through Joe Rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? Bob? Bob, I'll give him a chance. Okay, I will entertain it. If nobody, first, does everybody, I wanna make sure, does anybody else have anything to say? Okay, if not, I wanna entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Uh,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.